On this episode of The Chris Pigors Show, we continue our interview with Lela Hines Peterson. We will be taking a closer look at how she lived through being homeless, growing up in an abusive home, and dealing with her loss of her husband, yet still being successful in life. That and more on this week's episode of The Chris Pigors Show.
The latest news, 'cause it's all about you. What's up in your hood? Who's up to no good? Find out what's going on the It's Your Show. The reason why I stay up late at night is 'cause it's your show.
Welcome back to the Chris Pigors Show. I'm your host, Chris Pigors. Now, last time we were talking to Lela Hines Peterson, and she was talking about homelessness, how she was homeless as a child. I want to know, first of all, did she come out of homelessness and how she came out of homelessness? So Lela, welcome back.
Thank you.
So you were talking last segment about you as a child being homeless. You said that you did get out of homelessness. That's good.
Yes.
How did that happen?
My mom, like I said, we ended up going from those nightly shelters to being in a battered woman shelter. And at the battered woman shelter, during that time, she was able to establish an address and to be able to find a job and then save up some money. So we were there for about 2 months. And then we ended up finding a small little house that she rented, one of those shotgun houses. I love those because it's like the front of the house and the back of the house you can see, and you can shoot a gun and go completely through the same house. And so we ended up moving there, and that's where we ended up getting out of homelessness.
And then now, how did you feel now? So do you feel there's a sense of accomplishment now or purpose? Is there something that, happened during this time? You was homeless once, now you're not. How did you feel now?
Definitely, it was a good feeling to know that you had a established place to live,
Right.
and your bed was your bed, and same bed every single night. And also, like the landlord and her husband were really, really sweet, and so they kind of became like adoptive grandparents to me. And then one of the other neighbors had a daughter who was around my age, and so it was definitely kind of nice because I ended up feeling more like myself, more at home. School was in full force, and so I was going to Limbert Elementary School. Go Limbert. And it was I had a wonderful fourth grade teacher who really encouraged me to continue to get good grades and do well in school. And so it was a wonderful, being able to feel kind of back to normal. And we ended up, staying there for I think about a couple of years before we ended up moving to a bigger place. And so it was definitely a really good transition to feel more established, more grounded.
So going through school, middle school, high school, did you ever look back and say, did that incident or that time period in your life, did it affect you in middle school or in high school going?
I think it made me more empathetic for people. I remember meeting kids in school who were either were being teased for a certain reason or just didn't quite fit in, and instead of being like the others and teasing them or what have you, I didn't. I think because knowing that you don't know what they're going through at home, and so I think it definitely kind of helped me in that sense. And then also I think it made me really determined to do well in life. I ended up being class president. I ended up, winning all the sports things.
Wow.
I was playing in a dodgeball tournament in the 5th grade, and I don't know how, but I broke my arm during the dodgeball tournament.
Wow.
But I didn't stop or quit. I waited till I won.
Wow.
Once I won, then I went to the nurse's office, and I was like, I think my arm's broken. And she looked at it. She's like, yes, it is. And
Wow.
so I called my mom to pick me up from the school with a broken arm, but I won. So
wow.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say you graduated from high school
yes,
and you went on to college.
correct.
What was college like?
College was wonderful. I went to Whittier College in Whittier, California, And I went there my freshman year, and I loved it. I loved the fact that it was a small campus. I graduated high school a year early, so I thought I needed a smaller school, and it was wonderful. People were great. I met some people who, will probably be in my life for the rest of my life. And then after my freshman year, $30,000 later, I was like, I probably should go to a less expensive school.
Right.
So I ended up transferring to San Diego State University, where I ended up getting my undergrad degree. And then, like a couple years later, I ended up getting my master's later
Now,
on in
what
life.
were your goals and aspirations during this time? Is there something that you wanted to do? You going to school for something?
Yes. Originally, I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
Because everyone in my family were either nurses or teachers. And so that's what I originally was in college for. I was going to teach and then go to law school. And that had been the plan since I was probably like in elementary school. I mean, I even had a scholarship for a law degree. But after doing the student teaching for junior high school, I decided that's probably not the road I need to be on. And so I ended up kind of changing gears and doing research and compliance.
Okay.
And that ended up being the road that led me.
Because you actually worked for, was it the Phoenix Children's Hospital?
Correct.
Okay. And now, is there a reason why you chose that? Did that have to do something with your childhood, that you wanted to work around children or at a children's hospital, or it was just a job?
Maybe self-consciously. I don't know. Like, you never can tell.
Right.
Sometimes there's like the underlying things that
Right.
kind of direct your life. So, I mean, it could have been.
Right.
But I loved what the Children's Hospital did, and the fact that they helped so many kids, and their research team was incredible. Like all the different parts of research at Phoenix Children's Hospital were incredible, and incredible people who love kids and wanted to help children. And that passion that they had definitely made me want to go to work there. Like when they were recruiting me, I was like, you know what, this sounds like a great place. And then they had me come out in the spring. If you've ever been to Phoenix, it's very, very hot.
Yes.
And so I didn't realize, how hot it was there. And then once I, packed up and got ready to move there, it was June, and June's a whole different bird than April is. And so it was very, very hot, but it was so worth it, because what we got to do with the different children in that community. And then you also have, people who would bring their kids from other places and other countries to there, because it's such top notch. So I loved it.
And you did a lot for the community, and I knew that was a part of your homelessness. You wanted to kind of give back to the community.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Is this during the time that you met the love of your life?
I met him way before that.
Okay.
And so when I was serving a mission in Honduras,
Okay.
in Belize, one of the other missionaries there, I guess we met. It was a brief meeting, so I don't know. I bet he, for some reason, thought that I was perfect for his brother's roommate. So he went back and he showed him a picture of me and said, I met your future wife. And so my husband had written to me a couple times, but I ignored it, because everybody and their mothers try to fix you up.
Right,
when
right.
you're like the one person that they know who's single, and they always
Right.
try to fix you up with someone. So I ignored it. But once I finished my mission, he contacted me again, and so we met and we dated, and 2 years later we were married.
So he liked you off of a picture.
He liked me off of a picture.
Wow. And so tell me about that. Tell me about your husband. Who?
Makes it sound like he's shallow. He saw a picture. And it actually wasn't that great of a picture, which is kind of funny.
What do you think it was about you that attracted him?
He said that I had a glow. Like he had
Okay.
said that there was something about me that seemed different.
Okay.
And then when we talked on the phone quite a bit and got to know each other a little bit that way before because he lived in New Mexico and I lived in San Diego.
Oh, wow.
And then when he came up and we met in person, and so.
What did you think about him when you first met him?
I didn't think he was that cute.
Really? Really?
I thought we were going to be friends because
Okay.
we clicked so well. Like I thought we would be friends forever, but there wasn't like that, major attraction when I first met. He was really different than any guy. The looks wise, different than any guy I had dated
Really?
before. But he just had this confidence about him and like the swagger. He kind of reminded me of Cedric the Entertainer.
Yes,
And
yes.
so he was like funny, even though he was brilliant and he was so smart. Like he was a business major and an accountant, and he just was so smart, and that is sexy. Like
Right.
I don't know about other people, but
Right.
brilliance is sexy. And he just definitely just won me over. I mean, it took him 2 years, but he won me over.
Wow. So he was not really attractive to you.
No.
It was more.
It was more
Smarts.
it was more his smarts and his inner beauty. Like he would literally probably take the shirt off of his back and give it to
Wow.
someone. He was just such a good person, so funny, and he was such a great dancer. And we would just have fun. And like from the moment I met him, like he was just a blast. He was just so much fun to be with.
And so there's no attraction there, but there's a lot of qualities that you like in him. At what point did you say, you know what, this could be my husband?
Probably like a year of
Took a
dating.
year. It took a year.
Because I don't think I was in any rush to
Yeah,
get married.
yeah.
Like that just wasn't something that was like on like a high priority for me.
Right.
A lot of my friends got married really young.
Right.
And I wanted to like travel the world and do things, and I was really involved with, Battered Women's Shelter
Right.
and the San Diego AIDS Foundation. And
Right.
so like those things, and like I have fun with my girlfriends and going out and doing things. And so being like settled down, especially like with the church that I went to, like once you got married, you like started popping out kids and you stayed at home, and like I was a little bit too spunky for that.
Right.
I needed to calm down probably a little bit more so before doing that. So I mean, I didn't get married until I was 27.
Okay.
And so definitely a lot later than my friends at 18, 19.
So those single people out there that are looking for someone, what is the thing that said, you know what, this is my husband? Is there a thing, or is it a knowing? What is that?
I think you eventually know. Like I remember, like the moment I knew, like we were talking, and I just looked at him and I'm like, I can't imagine my life without you.
Wow.
And so that was the moment that I knew. He said the moment he knew was our first date, and he wanted to marry me.
Wow.
Our first date.
Wow. Wow.
Which is like crazy. I can't even imagine knowing that soon. And he said it just took him the rest of the time to convince me of it. But like he just, like I said, he was such a wonderful person that it made it hard not to love him.
Right.
And so because he was such just a sweet person.
So if you was going to give advice to single people out there, you're just a book of knowledge here.
I don't know about that.
A book of knowledge.
I'm this one of those was a Cliff Notes of knowledge.
Well, I'm just looking at all these pages, and now it's like, okay, single too, okay. So for those individuals that are single, because attraction is huge.
Yes.
What is it? What kind of advice what type of advice would you give someone right now who's looking that might be dating someone, that's not that attractive?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Well, for me, it's not always looks fade.
Right.
Like I mean, I look at pictures of me at 25 versus 48, and I'm like,
Right.
And so like looks fade, or if someone's in an accident and they're disfigured, they're not going to look the way you originally saw them. And so
Right.
looks is not super. I mean, there has to be some kind of attraction, obviously, but there's other things like I said. Just knowing the person's personality starts to make them look better. Like, have you ever met someone who was super beautiful when you first meet them? You're like, oh my
Right.
gosh,
Yes.
she is beautiful.
Yes.
And then you get to know them and they become less attractive the more you get to know them.
Absolutely.
And so it's the same thing. Like, don't dial someone out because you don't have that initial spark. But sometimes when you get to know someone and things become deeper, all of a sudden the person who you would have thrown away is the person who's your keeper.
Wow. And speaking of hardship, now your husband, the love of your life, winds up passing away.
Correct.
And I know that that's another part of your life that's just really tragic. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, he passed away. He basically went to sleep and didn't wake back up.
Okay.
And It definitely, it's difficult when you lose someone. Like I said, he was my best friend.
Right.
And we talked on the phone like every single day. Like he had been traveling. And I'm so glad that he was able to go to like South Africa and Australia and
Right.
India before he passed away, because those were like the last things on his bucket list.
Okay.
And so definitely that made a huge, I think difference. Like he could probably, at least he knew that he had done all those things that he wanted to do. But it was hard for me, but then I had my 8-year-old daughter and had to make sure that she was okay. And so we went through like grief counseling and,
Right.
and all of the stuff. We did group counseling, individual counseling. But for me, I just focused on the fact that he lived a great life and he touched so many people, and that I had a chance to get to know him
Right.
in this life. And then I look forward to, the next life when we're in heaven and I get to see him again. And so,
Lela, how long ago was that?
10 years ago.
10 years. Now, are you single?
I am single and ready to mingle.
All right. So it's time. It's time.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So what kind of, just in case somebody's watching, what are you, who are you looking for? Who would you like to come into your life, shall I say?
I would say like I feel like, I know a lot of people like look for someone to complete them. I feel like I'm already complete and I love my life, and if I go the rest of my life without finding that special someone, I'm okay with that. But I would like to find someone who's also complete and happy in their life, and to be able to share our golden years together, and
Awesome.
someone who's a partner, because I don't want to be anyone's mom.
Right.
Or
Right. Exactly.
so just, definitely someone who's a partner in life.
Okay. So now, I know this is hardship to success, and you've had a lot of hardship, but you've also had a lot of success. And so I want to talk about your business. Matter of fact, you just opened up your business March of 2020, right before the pandemic, right?
Correct.
So let's talk about your business. We'll come back and talk about Lela's business on our next segment, about what she's doing, why she started, and some of the things. If you ever want to start a business, anything else, just ask Lela. This should be the Ask Lela show. But yeah, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how to, how Lela started her business, what type of business you're doing, how you're doing. She's already told us what success is. So tune in for next time and we'll talk about that. I'm Chris Pigors, your host. We'll be back.
The latest news, 'cause it's all about you. What's up in your
Tune in, follow us, and make sure to catch the next episode of The Chris Pigors Show. Remember to like and click the subscribe button to follow more of The Chris Pigors Show. Please take the time to learn more about our guests seen on today's show. We'll see you next time on The Chris Pigors Show.
Lela's Place is your home away from home. It is in Peachtree City, but it feels like it's a world away. It's very quiet, very secluded. You're surrounded by trees and wildlife, and you can have an indoor or outdoor event, and you don't kill your budget. What makes Lela's Place special is the fact that you don't just get a venue, you get someone with 20 years of event experience, and I cater to your every need. Since we've started, we've done every kind of event. We've had baby showers, bridal showers. I've had tea parties for little girls. I've also done child birthday parties, adult birthday parties. I've had a family reunion, a class reunion, lots of weddings. There's lots of little camera nooks, lots of little places where you can take photos, whether it is the cast iron wall or the brick wall, or one of the trees that you want as your backdrop. There's flowers. There are lots of different things in the garden for backdrops, as well as there's a bird cage. There's arches. So there's lots of different places you can do. I actually have photographers who pay me to come here and do photo shoots because there's so many different spots. Follow us on Lela's Place on Instagram, Facebook, or you can go visit our website at www.lelasplace.com.
Thanks for watching The Chris Pigors Show. Be sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification button to be notified of our upcoming shows. Feel free to leave a comment. To see any specials or promotions, see the description page below.